Aren't you tired of over and over again, month after month, years after years, having the same results? Aren't you tired of stagnating in every single aspect of your life? Well, today we're going to fix that. Today we're going to speak about why most people stay at a certain income level their entire life and how you can change that, why most people that are in toxic relationships stay in toxic relationships, and why most people that are overweight will continuously be overweight their entire life. By the end of the video, you're going to have the tools and the understanding on how you can change this, change that, and change this, and start excelling in every single aspect. Lottery winners, a study of 35K winners showed that after 3 to 5 years, 70% of lottery winners spent all their savings. When it comes to a 9 to 5, an income, study shows that 50% of people, long term, meaning nearly until they die, stay in the same income category, income bracket. If nothing changes here, well, you're going to stay, most people are going to stay broke forever. Now, when it comes to relationships, so this is obviously a toxic little lady, but it goes both ways, right? This is not just a gender exclusive. It could be a toxic woman or a toxic man. Study shows that 1/3 to 2/3 of people who are used to getting into toxic relationship, on the long term, there is a re-victimization, what we call re-victimization, that constantly happens over and over again long term in their lives. Which means what? If they don't do anything, well, they're going to stay in toxic relationships forever. Don't think that this doesn't apply to you, because the brain has a tendency, and the ego has a tendency of living with blindfolders on, right? And it has a very fascinating tendency of rationalizing our failures. So you rationalize being broke or not having the same level of success that you see guys online have because, well, they have inherited their money or they may have scammed people, right? Same thing for a toxic relationship. When you're getting used to toxic relationship, you see it as normal. Maybe it's normal that the woman is manipulating me. Maybe it's normal that the man is alcoholic or slapping me in the face. Maybe that's normal, right? And then you start to rationalize as maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe it's the way I deserve to be treated. And for the last one, study shows that 80% of obese people that go on a regular standard diet gain all their weight back in 3 to 5 years after the diet. And some even get worse, in a worse shape than before. That's why you've seen all these people. We all know people that go on diets, that lose weight and then come back up again, lose weight, come back up again. And that's why there's no long-lasting changes. Same thing with people that we know that are stuck in toxic relationships. For some reason, this girl seemed to attract an alcoholic over and over again, even though her father was an alcoholic and she didn't want to attract an alcoholic. How come? Same thing with people. They seem to stay broke over and over again. Why is this happening? For most people, they are going to stay either broke forever, in toxic relationship forever, or obese forever. This is the reality of most people. This is also why Benjamin Franklin, one of his famous quotes, said most people die at 25 but are only buried at 75. What does that mean? It means that basically after 25, most people stop improving. Now why? I'm sure you've heard the psychologist study of the fact that your brain cannot produce new neural pathways after 25. That's bullshit, by the way. That's a limiting belief that society has put onto you. And once you start accepting this belief, well, obviously, you don't change after 25 when you get out of school, anything like that. And then the quote of Benjamin Franklin applies to you. Why does the majority of people stay stuck in these circumstances and seem to live the same life over and over and over again and seem to be stuck in a time loop? Well, because society has a heavy focus taking action. Oh, you need to take action for your goals. You need to, work more. You need to get that promotion. You need to start that business. You need to, date more. You need to put yourself in better environments. You need to put yourself on dating apps. You need to go on speed datings. Oh, you need to do that diet. You need to eat healthier. You need to train more. That's all taking action. Well, if that was the solution, why would these people stay stuck over and over again? Well, simply because most people don't have the correct wisdom when it comes to neuropsychology, neurobiology, and metaphysics. You see, taking action refers to trying to change the outside world. Now, if there is one thing that all these studies have proven, is that you're trying to change the outside world, you're trying to take action on the external factor, is not going to work on the long term. What you need to do is change. What you need to do is change the inner world. And this is the only way that you will have long-lasting results that feels automatic. What does the inner world mean, really and truly? And why does it work so well? Well, it's important to understand, for the sake of the simplicity of this video, when we speak about the inner world, we actually refer back to mostly your identity. Your identity changes everything in your life. And the moment you start to really truly change your identity, progressively over time, the subconscious is going to take over and all your results are going to naturally elevate themselves automatically. Most people stay stuck with their identity their entire lives. Why? Because they're defining themselves through their first 25 years of existence. If you've been bullied in high school, most people stay bullied their entire life. If they have had bad relationship with their parents, the universe usually reflect that back to them. And society reflect that back to them. Bosses reflect that back to them. Have you noticed? We've all know this type of person that has had bad relationship with friends, bad relationship with their fathers, bad relationship with their mothers, usually being some kind of victim for their family, victim for their friends, and tend to be victimized by their bosses as well. Cool. This is why. Because until you change your identity, you will never change your reality. Okay? Please write this down. Your identity over time creates your reality. I'm going to explain to you why. But this is what has been proven in neuropsychology, and this is what has been proven in spirituality, and this is what has been proven in metaphysics. Your identity over time creates your reality. Now, the problem is when you feel motivated one day or a few weeks to get in shape, to make more money, to start that business, to start to embody the version of yourself that has more money, start embodying the version of yourself that has healthier relationship. Well, the problem is you have a tendency of relying on motivation, which only gets you so far. Then you're not motivated enough, and then you revert back to the old you. Now you may say, well, Hugo, I'm actually disciplined. I'm such a badass motherfucker, so I'm disciplined. So basically, I'm disciplined, I'm going to be able to create my reality. The problem is discipline gets you so far as well. This is discipline. Okay? Why? Because this is when you feel motivated. This is when you feel disciplined. But if you haven't rewired the subconscious limiting beliefs that you have, and the subconscious programming that you have, you will always fall back to the old you. Your subconscious mind is literally what determines your life. Your subconscious mind determines 95% of your life, of what you think, of how you feel, of how you speak and what you say and what you do. And that's also why Carl Jung said, until you make the subconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is exactly why. Because your subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of your life. This is why motivation is good to kickstart your journey. This is why discipline is good to kickstart your journey. But until you have the proper subconscious reprogramming, you won't be able to consistently embody and apply this new identity until your reality changes. Yes, because this reality changes over time. There is a lag of time between your identity and reality. Quantum physicists has proven that basically, thanks to the observer effect, a beautiful quantum experiment, basically has proven that your identity creates your reality. But the problem is, most people don't tell you that there is a certain lag of time when it comes to changing more than a few molecules and a few particles. Because in this case, that is what has been proven in the very subatomic plane, in the very micro plane. Basically, the identity of the observer changed the wavelength into a particle, condensed into a first degree of materialization, a potentiality into a reality. But the thing is this happens nearly instantaneously for one particle, for a few particles. But when it comes to changing trillions of particles, trillions of conglomerates, a big conglomerate of particles, which comprise your reality, then obviously there is a time delay, which also is dependent on your vibration and frequency and the strength of your identity. So you see, that's why most people go on a diet. The problem is they revert back to their old identity and therefore their reality changes. They're not able to have results that are long-term, have results that are set in stone. Same thing for the toxic relationship and same thing for the money. I want you to draw a reverse pyramid. A reverse pyramid. Understanding that, first and foremost, the baseline of your life is going to be your identity, which is going to determine your beliefs. Those beliefs are going to determine your emotions, and those emotions are going to determine your actions. And your actions, obviously, are going to determine, with an alignment, with all of this alignment, your results in every single aspect of your life, / your reality. Now, you may tell me, oh, but you know, that means I only need to take action. No, because if you are not aligning yourself, you will constantly go back to the old emotions, the old beliefs, and the old identity. Let me show you an example here. Let's say, for instance, for 30 days, you're feeling motivated. Positive actions, you have some results. But over time, what happens is your negative identity comes back. Your negative beliefs comes back. Therefore, you feel negative emotions compared to the results that you want. And therefore, you have 3 minuses that stack up in the actions. What's the sum of all of this? Minus, minus. So you're reverting back to your old you, which is why you need to understand that taking action solely is never the long-term goal. The only way you want to have a ripple effect that is going to stay consistent over time, where your results are going to be long-term, is by focusing on the identity, changing your identity and creating feedback loops with your belief systems and your emotions, okay? Once you change your identity, You're going to change your belief system about the world, the belief system about yourself. You're going to start to perceive different stuff. You're going to accept different things. Your standards are going to elevate themselves. This is going to change the emotions that you feel every single day. And the emotions obviously are drivers of actions. Once you have this ripple effect that is constantly every single instant of every single day happening, it's impossible for you to revert back to bad actions and therefore bad results, right? So here you literally have a constant, every single instant of every single day, positive ripple effect and feedback loop, which then reinforces the new identity, which then adds more pluses, more pluses, more pluses, feedback loop, more pluses, more pluses, more pluses, more pluses. And you see how over time, obviously, you're stacking up more and more and quickly, more and more quickly, the results and changing your reality more quickly, basically. How do we actually change your identity? Well, your identity is mainly subconscious. That's the problem. Otherwise, you could just wake up one day and say, okay, I want to be Superman. But it doesn't work, does it? No. Your identity is mainly comprised of subconscious mechanisms. So, remember what Carl Jung said, until you make the subconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Cool. So the goal is basically to make the subconscious conscious, because you cannot know where you want to go. You cannot know if you're going to go somewhere without knowing first where you are. So, what is our goal? Our goal is first to make the subconscious conscious. Now, obviously there's a lot of things that can be done, like hypnotherapy, like having a coach, having a mentor that basically goes deep into your subconscious mind, because sometimes our own ego and our own brain is very powerful, or is very good at hiding our own flaws and basically rationalizing certain belief systems that aren't congruent with the result that we want in life. But still, the brain is like, oh no, it's normal to have those belief systems. Yes, those belief systems are going to bring me to the results, but they aren't. So sometimes, actually oftentimes, it's better to have somebody that is having a higher degree of awareness, higher degree of knowledge around these subjects to see and to make you aware of your own flaws and own belief system that are limiting you in every single aspect. You're going to create a list. You're going to create two lists. Lists of your belief systems, your beliefs around society, women / men, your parents, your friends, money, health, success, and failure. Okay? Obviously you can, for the simplicity's sake of this video, there's much more than that, but that's a good start. You're going to list all the beliefs that you have about society, women, your parents, your friends, money, health, success, failure. Immediately, as you're watching this video, you can sense that there's some voices in your head. There's some beliefs that immediately popped off when I spoke about women, men, parents, friends, money, and stuff like that. Maybe you were like, okay, all women are hoes, or all men are trash. Or maybe you were like, my parents hate me, or my parents are jealous of me, or my parents don't want to see me succeed. My friends are losers. Money doesn't grow on trees. Typical limiting belief. Only people with steroids are able to build muscle. Success is for others, not for me. For some reason, I feel like failure is part of my life. All of this you need to note. I want you to spend the next 30 minutes after this video, the next 30 minutes writing down all the thoughts that come around those themes. And you'll start to see how much limited you are and how much your subconscious mind is literally fucking you up every single day. That's number one. Number two, what you're going to do is you're going to create a stress list. What is a stress list? Is basically all the things that stress you out in your life right now. And obviously, all these things that stress you out right now, if they stress you out, it's because you are underperforming in those areas of life. And that also is a great way to see where your limiting beliefs are, because every single area of your life where you're underperforming is because you have limiting beliefs. You can do anything you want. Literally, there's people that have less talents than you, less knowledge than you, that have less capacity than you overall, and they're yet outperforming you like crazy. Why? Because their identity and their belief system are congruent with the result that they want. So they're fucking you up in every single aspect. Why do you think that there is literally 17 to 25 years old in here on this platform or on social media that are making 500,000 to multiple millions of dollars a month and you're not there? Why do you think that? Well, because they know it's possible. Because they have changed their identity. They've done some identity architecture. Okay? Two things. And you're going to see already with this exercise, you're going to know where you are subconsciously wise. Because again, if you look at the map, for instance, let's say you're on the sea, right? You have a boat. Let's say you have a boat, you look at your map, let's say you want to go to, I don't know, Miami, for instance, right? You want to come by boat to Miami. Well, if you don't know where you are initially, how the fuck can you know in which direction to go to? You first need to know where you are to be able to direct yourself in the right direction for you to get to your end goal. And that's why we're doing this. If you don't know where you are, no matter the identity, no matter the reality, no matter the results or the goal that you are trying to achieve, you will constantly self-sabotage yourself because you don't even know where you are. If you are in Africa and you're trying to get to Miami, but you think you're in Asia, obviously it's going to be a pain in the ass for you to get to your goal. You may never end up reaching your goal because you're going to base yourself with the compass in a wrong direction. That's why this is so crucial, guys. It's going to feel painful, by the way, because once you realize all the limiting beliefs that you have and how much of a quote-unquote loser you are, but that's fine. We all need to go through this. And nobody's a loser, by the way. It's just that you have been programmed by society to accept certain limiting beliefs. And that is what is preventing you from having the result that you want. Every single person that you look up to that have great results, whether it's me, whether it's some of my clients that you guys follow, whether it's other influencers, whatever it is, or people who have achieved great things, what do they all have in common? Well, they tend to be anomalies. What does it mean to be anomalies? It means to go against the grain, go against the flow, go against the mainstream. An anomaly is literally something that is not supposed to happen in the mainstream thing, in the homeostasis of the mainstream. And what does it tell you? It means that they are not having the same limiting beliefs of the society, basically. Okay? So you need to go against the grain. You need to go against the flow. And that is only done by you listening and being aware of your subconscious, being aware of the societal programming that you've been fucked up with from 0 to 25, or even if you're 40 or above, obviously you also have this societal programming. Make that aware, make that shit aware, and put that shit on the top of your mind. And then now we're gonna destroy it. By the way, my brother Olivier is in the background, and it's his birthday today, so everybody say happy birthday to Olivier.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Cool. If I don't see you guys type happy birthday in the comments, I'm banning all of you. So you better type happy birthday in the comments. Okay, so now that we know that we're fucked up, we want to reverse that. How do we do that? You have your list of limiting beliefs. You have your list of what doesn't work. Now, we need to do two things. What's important to understand as well is that from a neurobiological point of view, your identity, the way you perceive yourself, and when you change your identity, this changes what is called the reticular activating system, which is literally the filter of reality, which is literally what you see in your reality. Then you perceived certain opportunities, and therefore you leverage those opportunities. You focus on taking the actions that are aligned with your goals and your results, and that is what we call the Pareto actions, meaning you take the 20% of actions that get you 80% of results. You obviously have aligned results, which then creates the reality that you want. Your reticular activating system is the most important part here, but it can only be changed corresponding to your identity. And now from a metaphysical standpoint, when you change your identity, what happens is you're actually changing your vibration, which a vibration on a long period of time changes your frequency. And in metaphysics, a reality is a materialized frequency, and frequency is an immaterialized reality. So if you hold a certain vibration created by your identity on a long period of time, this becomes a frequency, and therefore this frequency attracts, like radio or TV signals, or even reveals certain reality, reveals realities. When we say reveals realities, basically because in the metaphysical point of view, the creator, aka God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has already created all realities, because the creator, God, universe is infinite, and therefore has created infinity, and therefore has created infinite amount of realities. So it's really more so of you revealing realities rather than creating realities. You're more so attracting or revealing, because all realities have already been created. This is what they've proven also in the multi-world model from Hugh Everett III when he tried to solve quantum anomalies. If you want a video about that, you can watch my previous ones. I don't remember in which one I think I spoke about this on how to quantum jump into the winning timeline. So you can check that out. But either way, when you change your frequency, you therefore attract and reveals reality. And this allows you to quantum jump your consciousness in the right reality. And therefore, boom, you have the reality that you desire. Cool. So you see, from a neurobiological point of view and a metaphysical point of view, this is how reality works, and this is what is the link between your identity and your reality. Okay? Now, you may say, okay, well, that's cool and all, Hugo, but how the fuck do I go from shy, timid kids with the ladies, or being in toxic relationship, being obese, being skinny and nerdy, or being broke and going to becoming rich, or at least free in every single aspect? Well, that's what we're going to do right now. And yeah, by the way, you may think that I'm speaking out of my ass, but it's not the case. I've actually changed myself from shy and timid kid with the ladies to being able to have a fair amount of success with the ladies. I went from being I went from being a skinny and nerdy guy to jacked and confident, and I went from being a depressed, miserable 9-to-5 corporate slave to being able to be time, money, and location free and elevating thousands of people online. It's important to understand basically a few things that an identity is comprised of. Okay? Your identity is comprised of your knowledge and awareness. As I always say, the more aware you are of reality, the more control you have over reality. The fact that you have access to certain types of knowledge makes you the difference between you being able to capitalize on great knowledge and seeing some results in your life versus somebody who has no fucking knowledge, right? Same thing with awareness. It also is comprised with your focus and your attention, where you put your attention. Because obviously, let's say for instance, if you see yourself as a jacked and shredded bodybuilder, right? Well, obviously your focus and attention is going to be more so on working out, the proper nutrition, sleep, recovery, optimization of your health. Then your belief systems, obviously, which is one of the main things, honestly, and which we have started to rewire as you watch this video and you do the things that I told you to do, the belief systems. You also have your states. What do I mean by states? How do you feel every single day on a day-to-day basis? The identity of somebody who is successful in every single aspect wouldn't necessarily be anxious, stressed, or ashamed of his life, right? But if you're a loser, if you're smoking weed, if you're constantly drinking alcohol to numb the pain of your miserable existence, you're getting manipulated by the ladies, you're hiring escorts, you're watching porn every day, well, obviously, your state is going to be the one of shame, guilt, even though you may lie to yourself and you may rationalize. Again, the brain is a beautiful machine and is very much able to rationalize all the fucking flaws that you have into something external and you being a victim, basically. So states is another one. Your subconscious rewiring, which is what most people don't know how to do. Your self-concept, how you perceive yourself every single day, every single instant. Because it's not enough to perceive yourself one day as a badass motherfucker and then the other day you perceive like you're a loser. Self-concept and perception of self, your own perception, your environments. Because obviously, if you consider yourself as successful in every single aspect and somebody who doesn't tolerate toxic relationship, would you still be in an environment where you're disrespected? No. If you consider yourself as somebody who is rich or at least free, would you stay stuck in an environment that is in dissonance with what you're trying to achieve? Of course not, right? But either way, there's much more to that, but there's much more to the identity than that. But I'm giving you at least a few things that you need to change. Also, another one that I can give you is the micro proof every single day. The micro proof feedback loops. As you may know, this universe is holographic, meaning that everything is linked. So you, on a consistent period of time, doing the right actions, as you remember this reverse pyramid, you doing the right actions has a feedback loop on your identity. The micro proof, the micro actions every single day. But the thing is this, you need to keep track of that for you to reinforce your identity over and over again. By the way, guys, if you're looking to completely change your identity for you to start seeing results in 3 to 6 months, like completely drastic results, click in the link in the description. This is literally how my client Kevin went from being a depressed alcoholic loser. He was in bad relationship with his parents. He just got dropped by his girl. He was completely miserable, alcoholic, broke, and he went on to transform his life completely. Now he's over 200 pounds lean muscle. He has his dream body, his dream girl, his dream life. And he's now the happiest he's ever been. No drugs, no alcohol, and he's selling luxury real estate, luxury houses. Some of them are valued up to $100 million, okay? And this is the same thing. He used this protocol that I'm giving all my clients, the Godlike Reality Creation Protocol. And this is also how Mustafa, my client Mustafa, was able to go from 1K in his bank account when we started working together to now being able to close 50, 60K days. Even one day he closed $183,000, okay? All of this because we changed the internal world. And now he's the most masculine he's ever been, okay? And this is obviously the same protocol that I use to change me completely in every single aspect of my life. Cool. Now, I will finish off with this. This graph shows you the reality of life. You are an infinite soul. You decided to incarnate into this third dimensional realm to live some kind of rule, some kind of constraint. But because you're an infinite soul, you're able to, and your consciousness, your pure consciousness, you're able to do anything. You're able to be anything because this entire universe is permeated by consciousness. Cool. So you are infinite. You get to decide what you want. And the thing that will determine your 3D reality, your experience of planet Earth, your experience of this lifetime, is literally going to be your body, which basically means, are you going to choose the wrong body or are you going to choose the right body? What do I mean by that? It's going to be determined by your brain and your body as well, right? Your head and your body. Because if your head is clear, if you reprogram your subconscious mind, if you reprogram your head with the right beliefs, you have the right body with the right energy, then obviously not only one, are you going to be able to act upon the anomaly actions and the Pareto actions that you need to have to get aligned results, but also because you're so clear, you're naturally going to send out the right vibration that are going to attract the right 3D reality. So all of this to say that never forget that this is you. You are infinite. And it is your own fault if you have a bad reality or if you have a right reality. It is literally your own fault if your reality sucks or if your reality is what you want it to be. Never forget, you are infinite. You need to reprogram your mind. You need to take care of your body. And once you're aligned mentally, physically, then this, the true spirit of self, once this is aligned, then the true spirit can come back and create the right reality. Guys, I love you all. Hope it was useful. Don't forget, take notes, send them in the comments. Tell Olivier happy birthday and go do the exercises. Go change your life. See you soon, guys. Love you all.